when the Ansar had their final meeting with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrate to Medina. With the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his uncle came, Abbas, who wasn't a Muslim at the time. And Abbas radiallahu anhu said to the Ansar, he said, "Oh Ansar, this is Muhammad, he's my nephew, he's from our clan. We will look after him, even though we don't believe in his religion. Tell me, if we send him with you, what will you do?" And the Ansar turned to the Messenger of Allah and they said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, you tell us, what do you expect from us?" And the Prophet ﷺ said, "I expect you to defend me like you defend your own family. I expect you to spend upon me in ease and difficulty. I expect you to listen to me, you like it or you dislike it. I expect you to stand up for the truth, even if the entirety of humanity opposes you." And the Ansar said, "O Messenger of Allah, tell us, if we fulfill the condition, then what will we attain in return?" And the Prophet ﷺ said just one word. He said, "You will attain Jannah." What was the Prophet ﷺ saying? You give your life, you give your wealth, you obey me, and you like it or you dislike it. And what is he promising them? A skeptic would say, a pie in the sky. But these were people who believed. And Ka'b radiallahu anhu narrates this, says, "Rabih al-Bay, what a bargain. Rabih al-Bay, what a bargain." Because these were people who believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their imans were strong imans. Suhaib Rumi radiallahu anhu migrated. He was a Roman. He was brought to Makkah as a slave, and then he freed himself and he became a great businessman. And he's migrating to Medina, and the people of Makkah saying, "Look at this man. He came to Makkah, he had nothing. Now he's leaving with his wealth." So they chased him, and Suhaib climbed up a mountain, and at the bottom of the mountain the mushrikeen are standing, and Suhaib radiallahu anhu is saying, "If you climb up, I will pick you off one by one. You know I am the best arrow marksman amongst you. When my arrows finish, then I will strike you with my sword. But you have another option. I will tell you where I hid my wealth, and you can take all my wealth." So they agree to take his wealth, and he tells them where his wealth is. And he comes to the gathering of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he enters the gathering, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam at what had transpired. And he enters the gathering, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Rabbi al-Bay." He says, "Oh Suhaib, what a bargain. What a bargain. Investment for the akhirah." Abu Dahdah was once sitting in the company of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a young man came. He was a yatim, and he said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, I am a yatim. I have my land, and I want to fence off my land. But next to my house is the house of another Muslim, and there is a tree in between. I asked him to sell me that tree so I can fence off my land. Could you speak to this Muslim?" So the Prophet ﷺ calls this man. This man was a munafiq. So the Prophet ﷺ called him, and he said, "Sell me that tree, and I guarantee you a tree in Jannah," or in some narration, a date in Jannah. And the man refused because he was a munafiq. He didn't believe. He said, "I won't sell it." So he goes away, and Abu Dahdah is sitting there, and he said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, if I bring back that tree, if I buy that tree, do you promise me a tree in Jannah as well?" And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Oh Abu Dahdah, I promise you a tree in Jannah." And Abu Dahdah radiallahu anhu, he goes, and he says to this munafiq, he said, "Sell me that tree." He said, "I didn't sell it to the Nabi. You think I'm going to sell it to you?" He said, "Do you know who I am?" He said, "Of course, I know you're Abu Dahdah." He said, "Do you know about my gardens?" He said, "Of course, you have the most beautiful garden in Medina. You have a palace in your garden. You have the sweetest of water." Abu Dahdah said, "Sell me that tree. Sell me that one tree and I promise you my entire garden. And he said, you're having a laugh. He said, try me. And he gives him that tree. And Abu Dahda is coming back to the Prophet ﷺ. He's elated because he knows once he's in Jannah, he ain't coming back out again. And he enters the gathering of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ was informed by Allah at what had transpired. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Abu Dahda, when you went away, I promised you one tree in Jannah. Now I see that your entire Jannah is full of trees. Your entire Jannah is full of trees. And then Abu Dahda goes home and he tells his wife, leave the home. And she says, why? He says, hurry, leave the home. And she says, why? He said, because I have given this garden for trees in Jannah. I have replaced these trees, substituted these trees for trees in Jannah, which if a horse runs under its shade for 500 years, it will not come out of its shade. And what does she reply? She says, Rabbi al-Bay, what a bargain. What a bargain. And this is it, my dear respected brothers and sisters. We have this short life. It's a life of investment, that we invest in our hereafter. You look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. They were people who invested in the hereafter. These people weren't shallow people. These people were deep people.